Here we go. I like really blow the teacher stuff. All right, 1965.
1965, President Johnson signs the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, providing funding for the inclusion of some students with disabilities in public education.
Right, previously these kids were prevented from even attending school.
1968, Latinx high school students in Los Angeles State citywide walkouts protesting unequal treatment by the school district. Prior to the walkouts, Latinx students were routinely punished for speaking Spanish on school property, not allowed to use the bathroom during lunch, and actively discouraged from going to college. Walkout participants are subjected to police brutality and public ridicule. 13 are arrested on charges of disorderly conduct and conspiracy. However, the walkouts eventually result in school reform and an increased college enrollment among Latinx youth.
1968 and 1969, the Black Panthers and the Young Lords began free breakfast before school programs for African Americans, Latins, and other youth who are struggling with food insecurity and school systems that do not provide the adequate food.
Right, this was the forerunner model for Head Start.
1973, U.S. Supreme Court rules that a free public education is not a fundamental right under the 14th Amendment in the Constitution in San Antonio Independent School District versus Rodriguez.
Let's just hold on to that one for just a second in light of current cabinet choices.
1974, Milliken versus Bradley A. Supreme Court, made up of Richard Nixon's appointees, rules that schools may not be desegregated across school districts. This effectively legally segregates students of color in inner city districts from white students in wealthier white suburban districts.
Right, and lay that next to the redlining that we saw happen in the 30s and 40s. Right, so we completely institutionalized this segregation in multiple ways.
1975, the Education for All Handicapped Children Act and the Individuals with Disability Education Act establishes the right to public education of students with disabilities and requires schools to provide individualized or special education for students with disabilities.
1980s, the Federal Tribal Colleges Act establishes a community college on every Indian reservation, which allows young people to go to college without leaving their families.
1994, Proposition 187 passes in California, making it illegal for children of undocumented immigrants to attend public school. Federal courts hold Proposition 187 unconstitutional, but anti-immigrant feeling spreads across the country.
And the reason I raise up California is that California and Texas control the textbook industry because they purchase so many. So whatever they decide is what the rest of us have to teach. Under the second George Bush's administration, when he had previously been the governor of Texas, Merriam-Webster published a dictionary where if you looked up the word Holocaust, it said large fire. And if you looked at the word gay, it said happy. And that was the Merriam-Webster School Dictionary that year that schools across the country bought. And so when California and Texas make these decisions, even when they're overturned, they have ripple effects and ramifications on what students are receiving as fact in their classroom across the country.
1996, Chef versus O'Neill, Supreme Court decision that state must award Connecticut school children with an equal education opportunity, unimpaired by racial and ethnic isolation.
1996, California passes Proposition 209, which outlaws affirmative action in public employment, public contracting, and public education. Other states jump on the bandwagon with their own initiatives, and right-wing elements hope to pass similar legislation on a federal level.
1997, 2011, Connecticut amends General Statute 1015C to include sexual orientation to a list of identities protected from discrimination in public schools. Gender identity or expression is not added until 2011.
2007 report finds that Connecticut's achievement gap is largest in the country based on income.
2010, the Texas School Board adopts revisions to the Texas Social Studies curriculum. The revised curriculum plays down the role of Thomas Jefferson among the founding fathers, questions the separation of church and state, and claims that the U.S. government was infiltrated by communists during the Cold War.
2011, Public Act 11 11-181 calls for the creation of a coordinated, comprehensive system of early care education and development system. In 2013, school governance councils are created in compliance with 11-181 to enable parents, school staff, students where appropriate, and community leaders to work together to improve student achievement.
2015, 138,930 copies of this book were sold to school districts in Texas.
And that inbox says, the Atlantic slave trade between the 1500s and 1800s brought millions of workers from Africa to the southern United States to work on agricultural plantations. I will not make you look at this any longer, but this is 2015. This is Texas. This is history being rewritten.
How much do they get paid?
Yeah.